Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a sec, just for a moment. It's Saturday morning. You're, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years old. You're wearing those flannel pajamas that are always just a little bit too hot. You've got a bowl of cereal that is basically chemically engineered to turn the milk a sort of neon blue.
The best kind.
The best kind.
Right.
And you are sitting cross-legged on the carpet, way too close to the TV, and it's on. It's loud. It's chaotic.
That's the golden hour right there. No school, zero responsibilities, pure, unadulterated, animated bliss.
Exactly. You're not thinking of bills. You're not thinking about, career trajectories or the state of the economy.
Oh, God, no.
You are just watching a little pink dog scream for his life, or a super fast blue hedgehog running in loops, or three little girls with giant eyes beating up a giant monkey. It's simple.
Or at least it felt simple at the time.
Right. And that is exactly why we are here today. Because we all have those shows. They're like ingrained in our DNA.
Yeah.
But when you go back and you revisit them now, as an adult with a fully developed frontal lobe, hopefully, you start to notice things. You start to see that the bad guys aren't just one-dimensional obstacles. They have baggage. I mean, serious baggage.
It is genuinely fascinating how just a shift in your own life perspective completely changes the genre of what you're watching.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, a villain is just the person who's stopping the fun. They are an annoyance, a roadblock. But when you look closer, especially at the specific shows we're going to be breaking down today, you realize you're actually watching some pretty intense psychological case studies.
That's true.
We're talking about trauma responses, neglect, socioeconomic commentary, toxic masculinity, all of it wrapped up in slapstick comedy.
So, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are doing something a little different. We are putting our childhoods on the therapy couch.
A well-deserved session.
It is. We've gone through a mountain of analysis, and we're specifically looking at some really incredible work done by the YouTube channel Yoggerl Tunes, which has done this incredible archival work on these character profiles. But we want to go even further. We want to unpack the why.
We're asking the hard questions today. Why is Eustace Bagg so relentlessly miserable? Is he just a jerk, or is he a victim?
Right.
Why is Chris Thorndike, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, the most hated kid in the history of anime? And more importantly, does he deserve it?
And what is going on with the Kanker sister? I mean, seriously.
We need to talk about the Kankers.
We've got a full docket. We're covering Courage the Cowardly Dog. We're doing Sonic X, the Powerpuff Girls, and of course, Ed and Eddy.
The classics.
Our mission is to find those villain origin stories that were hiding in plain sight the whole time. We're going to talk about generational trauma, the toxicity of wealth, and what happens when you really, really disrespect someone's culture.
It's going to get a bit heavy, I think, but I promise it's also going to be pretty illuminating.
So grab your rolling pin, keep your feet off the furniture, and let's dive in. I want to start in the middle of nowhere, and I mean that literally.
Yes.
Let's talk about Eustace Bagg.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. A show that, frankly, I am still shocked was ever allowed on children's television.
It was terrifying. I had nightmares about this show.
It was a full-on horror show masquerading as a comedy. You have this tiny, anxious pink dog living in a dilapidated farmhouse in the middle of a literal dust bowl.
Nothing for miles.
And he's constantly besieged by aliens and zombies and ghosts and that terrifying floating head.
Oh, show me what you got. Chills.
But the thing is, the most consistent antagonist wasn't a monster from outer space. It was just a guy.
Eustace, the farmer. He's absolutely the Grinch of the series.
That's a great way to put it.
He's bald. He's got those big round glasses. He's always fused to that armchair reading the newspaper. And he's just seething with this constant low-level anger.
Eustace is such a great place to start because his villainy is so domestic. It's so mundane.
Yes.
He isn't trying to take over the world. He isn't trying to steal the moon or build a death ray. He just wants to make his dog miserable.
It's such a small, petty goal.
And he is so committed to it.
I was so curious about this that I actually looked up the stats because it felt like he was constantly yelling at Courage. And the numbers are staggering. Across all 52 episodes of the show, Eustace uses his catchphrase, "Stupid dog," 343 times.
Wow. That's obsessive. That's not just a catchphrase. That's a compulsion.
That averages out to about 6 or 7 times per episode. It's his mantra.
Stupid dog. You made me look.
Always. It's his trademark disdain.
And that specific phrase it's all about establishing a hierarchy, right?
Right.
Yeah, he needs Courage to be below him. He needs someone to punch down on. But
Yeah.
if you just watch the show casually, you think, okay, he's just a grumpy old man. But the question we have to ask is why? Why is he so bitter? Why is...
And this is where we get into the family tree.
Yeah.
Because if you think Eustace is bad, you haven't met Ma Bag.
Ma Bag is the skeleton. She is the absolute key for unlocking his entire psyche. We only see her in a few episodes, but she is a...
She really is. She's this tiny woman. She wears that ridiculous red wig, these huge glasses.
And she treats Eustace with this utter dripping contempt. It's breathtaking.
She treats Eustace exactly the way Eustace treats Courage. It's almost a shot-for-shot remake of their dynamic.
Precise. The source material we looked at calls it the stupid boy to stupid dog pipeline.
That's it.
Growing up, Ma Bag called Eustace stupid boy. She belittled him. She ignored him. She told him he was useless and would never amount to anything. So now, as an adult, Eustace has internalized that voice. He repeats the exact same insults that were weaponized against child.
And he aims them at the only creature in the house who is more powerless than he is.
Courage.
There's a specific visual that really, really drove this home for me. We all remember the mask, right? That giant green bug-eyed mask Eustace pulls out of nowhere.
Ooga booga booga. It's iconic.
It's the jump scare of the entire series. It used to scare the living daylights out of kids.
Me too.
But in one of the episodes that flashes back to his childhood, we see Ma Bag wearing a nearly identical mask. She used it to terrorize him when he was a toddler.
Think about the psychology of that for a second. That is profound. He isn't just playing a prank on the dog. He is reenacting his own trauma.
He's becoming the monster.
He's taking the object of his fear, the thing that made him feel small and helpless and terrified, and he is becoming the person wearing it. He's flipping the script so that he is the one in control this time.
It's a cycle. It's a literal cycle of abuse playing out with a scary mask and a pink dog. But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Okay.
Because, look, plenty of people have bad parents. Plenty of people have trauma in their childhoods. They don't all grow up to, abuse animals for fun. Is this just an explanation, or are we trying to excuse him?
And that is the crucial distinction. I think it's very important to say we're absolutely not accusing him. Animal abuse is never acceptable, and Eustace is, by all measures, cruel. He's greedy.
100%.
But understanding the why moves him from being a simple cartoonish villain to a tragic. And the tragedy gets even deeper when you look at the other dynamic in his childhood, which is the golden child.
We have to talk about
Horseback, Eustace's older brother.
The man, the myth, the legend.
If Eustace is the failure, the disappointment, Horst is the action. He's described in the show as this kind of mashup of Indiana Jones, Bear Grylls, Scrooge McDuck.
Right. He was a professional hunter, a world traveler. He sent home all these exotic gifts. He was everything Eustace wasn't.
And you can be sure that Ma Bag never let Eustace forget it. There is this constant dynamic where Horst is the man, the strong one, the successful one, and Eustace is just the puny little boy.
And he wanted to be like...
Desperately. Eustace wanted to go on those adventures. He wanted to be the hunter, but he was always shut down. He was told he wasn't good enough to even try.
There's that one scene where a young Eustace asks to go hunting with Horst and Ma, and they just laugh at him. Just laugh right in his face. It's brutal to watch.
So he's stuck. He's stuck in that farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, balding, broke, while the ghost of his brother's success hangs over every single conversation with his mother.
This actually explains so much about his greed. Have you noticed that in almost every episode where Eustace is the one driving the plot, his motivation is money?
Always. He wants the magical slab, he wants the reward money, he wants the cursed gold.
It's always about getting rich.
And he isn't just greedy for the sake of buying things. He's not trying to buy a new truck. He thinks that if he can just get rich, if he can just bring home a big catch, like his brother did, he will finally be worthy.
He'll finally get Ma's approval.
He'll finally be equal to Horst. But because he was never taught empathy or, basic problem solving, he tries to get that success by stepping on.
Usually courage.
Always courage. I'm going to get me that reward. And then he just throws the dog directly into the path of the monster.
He views courage not as a companion, not as a pet, but as a tool or an obstacle to his own validation.
Yeah.
It's just really sad when you break it all down. He's a lonely, broken man stuck in a time loop of his own trauma. Which brings us to, I think, the biggest mystery of the entire show. The woman sitting in the rocking chair, Muriel.
The saint of nowhere.
Why does she stay? Seriously, he's mean to her beloved dog. He's grumpy and dismissive to her. He refuses to help around the house unless there's food directly involved. Why is she there?
It's the question that plagues the fandom, but I think the answer really lies in her fundamental nature. Muriel is the only character in that entire show, and maybe in Eustace's entire life, who has unconditional love to give.
So you think she sees past the crusty exterior?
I think she sees the sad little boy inside the grumpy old man. She knows about Ma, she knows about Horst, she knows the story.
So she stays out of pity, or is it hope that it'll change?
I think it's patience. But, and this is important, notice that she isn't a doormat. We absolutely have to talk about the role.
A rolling pin,
Yeah.
the ultimate silencer, the great equalizer.
It's a running gag, sure. Eustace acts up, whack, he gets bonked on the head with the rolling pin, but symbolic. That rolling is the boundary.
Oh, that's interesting.
Muriel is endlessly kind, but when Eustace crosses from just being grumpy or selfish to being genuinely cruel, she shuts immediately.
So it's a system of checks and balances in their marriage.
Exactly. Without Muriel, Eustace would likely spiral in total monstrous behavior. She keeps him tethered to humanity.
And we do see glimpses of it working. There are those rare moments. It's usually when Muriel herself is in grave danger, where Eustace drops the act entirely.
He does.
He teams up with courage. He actually fights for her. He shows bravery.
It shows that he isn't entirely devoid of a heart. It's just, it's buried under 60 years of resentment and dry dust.
A pretty somber look at how childhood wounds, leave them unhealed, can absolutely rot you inside out. Used to what happens when you let that stupid boy voice win.
It really is.
That is a heavy thought to hold. Okay, let's shift gears. We're going to leave the dusty farmhouse, and we're going to go somewhere with a bit more air conditioning and a lot.
A lot more. We're pivoting to the rich kids?
This is such an interesting comparison because we're going to look at two characters who have absolutely everything money can buy, but they turned out completely diametrically different.
We have Chris Thorndike from Sonic X and Princess Morbucks from the Powerpuff Girls.
One wants love, the other wants power. But let's start with Chris. We have to start with Chris.
Oh, boy.
Okay, for this segment, I feel like we need to enter a courtroom because Chris Thorndike is, well, controversial is being polite. He is hated.
Everybody hates Chris. Fits well here. In the Sonic fandom, he is often cited as the singular reason people dislike Sonic X. He is a lightning rod for criticism.
So let's set the stage. I'll be the prosecutor. I'm representing the legions of angry fans online. You can be the defense attorney.
I accept the challenge. It's a tough case, but I'll take it.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the charges against the defendant, Christopher Thorndike, are as follows. First, he is annoying. He is a spoiled rich kid who cries constantly.
Oh, I see.
Second, he hijacks the show. People tuned in to watch Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, not a 12-year-old human boy having an existential crisis. And third, and most seriously, the stalker charge. He is obsessively clingy to Sonic, to the point where it gets, frankly, weird.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor, or at least guilty with an explanation involving some very significant mitigating circumstances.
I'm listening.
My primary piece of evidence is Exhibit A, the 4Kids censorship.
Explain that for the court.
If you grew up in the U.S. or the U.K. or pretty much anywhere that aired the English dub produced by 4Kids, you were watching a sanitized, helicopter-parented version of the show. 4Kids was notorious for this. They erased anything that felt too real or too sad for American children.
Like turning Sanji's cigarettes into lollipops in One Piece. I remember that. Exactly that kind. In Sonic X, they cut crucial scenes, entire flashback, that establish the depth of Chris's neglect. In the English dub, Chris just seems like a kid whose parents are busy. Oh, dad's at work, mom's on a movie set.
It just seems like a normal rich kid life.
Right. But in the original Japanese version, we see the actual trauma.
Okay, so give us the details. What did we miss? What was in the original cut?
There's a flashback sequence in the Japanese version that is just heartbreaking. It shows Chris as a toddler, a tiny little kid, and he is literally bargaining with his parents for their time.
Oh, wow.
His mother is a famous movie star. His father is a CEO of a massive tech company. They are never home. And you see him as a little boy saying things like, "If I'm good, will you stay?"
Oh, that's rough.
He has a mansion, a butler, a brilliant scientist for a grandfather, a maid. He has a full staff. But he does not have parents. He is completely, utterly, emotionally isolated.
Okay, that definitely softens the spoiled brat image a little bit. He has all the toys in the world, but he doesn't have Hug.
He has zero effect. So when Sonic the Hedgehog crash lands into a swimming pool, it isn't just cool, a talking blue alien. It is a lifeline.
It's the most exciting thing that's ever happened in that house.
It's the first real thing that's ever happened. And Chris jumps into the pool to save Sonic, not because he's some great hero, but because Sonic represents the first genuine connection he's ever had. Sonic is present. Sonic pays attention to him. Sonic listens.
So the clinging,
Yeah.
the obsession. You're arguing that it's a trauma response.
It's a desperate, frantic attempt to hold on to the only cure for his loneliness he's ever found. He clings to Sonic because he is terrified of the silence returning to that big and...
Okay, defense, that's a very compelling argument. I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
But I have a smoking gun, a piece of evidence from which you cannot recover. The portal incident.
Yes. Ready for this.
At the end of the season, a portal is open. Sonic has to go home to his own world. His friends are waiting for him. And what does Chris do? He sneaks away and shuts the portal down.
He does. He deliberately traps Sonic on separating him from his entire life just so he doesn't have... That is not a trauma response. That is kid...
I won't deny the facts of the case. It was a profoundly selfish act, but look at the psychology behind it. It was an act born of pure, unadulterated panic. He wasn't thinking rationally like, I want to own Sonic. He was thinking with his terrified inner child. If he leaves, I disappear again. I go back to being nothing. He preferred to be a villain for a moment than to face that void.
And he does eventually let him go. He realizes. But then we get the adult Chris arc, which for me is where the tragedy really cements itself.
This is the part of the show that genuinely haunts me. So Chris grows up. He spends 6 prime years of his life, from his late teens into his 20s, studying quantum physics and engineering.
He becomes a brilliant inventor.
A genius. He could have cured diseases. He could have solved the world's energy crises with his intellect. But what does he do with all that potential?
He builds a way back to Sonic. He dedicates his entire adult existence to chasing a childhood. He abandons his life, his friends, his career. And when he finally activates his portal and travels, remember what happened?
He turns back into a kid again, right?
Because of the time dilation and the weird space-time mechanics between the worlds, his body reverts to being 12 years old.
That is horrifyingly symbolic when you think about it.
Isn't it? He literally resets all of his progress. He renders his adult growth completely moot. He becomes a liability to the team all over again. It suggests that he never actually healed. He just found a more technologically sophisticated way to regress.
He didn't want to move forward. He just wanted to go back.
Exactly.
The defense rests. I mean, look, I still find him annoying, but now I mostly just feel pity.
And that's the real tragedy of Chris Thorndike. He's a walking, talking study in childhood emotional neglect. And it's even starker when you compare him to Helen, that other human character in Sonic X.
Helen was great, the girl in the wheelchair.
Everyone loved Helen. And why? Helen had loving parents, but she had physical limitations. Yet she had this inner peace and wisdom. She mirrored Maria, Shadow's friend from the games.
Right.
The fans loved Helen because she offered Sonic a quiet, respectful friendship. Speed meets stillness. It was a beautiful dynamic. Chris just offered him anxiety and neediness.
So Chris is the product of emotional neglect. Now let's flip the coin. Let's talk about a child who wasn't neglected, but was actively enabled.
Let's talk about Princess Morbucks from the Powerpuff Girls.
Princess Morbucks, the anti-Chris in a way.
That's a great way to put it. Chris wanted connection. Princess wants domination.
And she wants to buy it.
And she was taught that she could. We have to look at the parent here, Daddy Morbucks. We usually only ever see his hand or his arm or his wallet.
Yeah, he's just this disembodied source of cash. The source material calls this parenting by wallet.
And he is the true villain of her story. He isn't a father, he's an ATM. There is that one scene where Princess is having a full-blown meltdown, screaming, breaking priceless vases, and instead of discipline, instead of a time out, a hand just reaches into the frame and hands her a massive wad of cash.
And she stops crying instantly. She just goes silent.
She learns from a very young age that the emotions are transactional. I scream, I get paid, I want, I get. So when she decides she wants to be a Powerpuff Girl, does Daddy say, no, honey, you don't have superpowers? That's incredibly dangerous.
No, of course not. He buys her a solid gold weaponized supersuit.
He buys her gadgets. He buys her a floating command center. He enables her delusion because it's easier than actually parenting her.
And that suit, let's describe it. It's clunky, it's garish, it's bright gold, it's got laser shields. It is the definition of pay to win in a video game.
But she fails, and she fails hard.
So hard.
She tries to help during a bank robbery and nearly gets the girls killed because she's clumsy and arrogant. She actually gets a bomb strapped to her back by the criminals because they don't see a hero. They see a walking, talking hostage with a very rich dad.
But she doesn't learn. That's the thing. She comes back. Again and again, more entitled each time.
Yeah.
And this leads to one of my absolute favorite moments in the entire series.
A showdown.
A showdown between Blossom and Princess.
This fight is a masterclass in visual storytelling. So Princess has already defeated Buttercup and Bub. Why? Because she has better tech. She bought shields that can stop their punches. She bought lasers that are faster than them. She is winning the purely physical fight.
She outmuscled the muscle.
Right. But Blossom is the leader for a reason. She's the strategist.
She is.
And Blossom realizes you can't outpunch money, so she uses intellect. She switches to pure defense. She just dodges. She lets Princess fire every laser, burn every ounce of fuel in her jetpack. She lets Princess get tired and overconfident.
And then take down. Beautiful.
Yeah. Blossom uses her ice breath. She freezes the entire gold suit solid. And because gold is a relatively soft metal and it's brittle from the extreme cold, the whole suit just shattered.
It's such a satisfying sound. Just tink, 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 creak.
And Blossom floats down and delivers the core lesson of the episode. She stands over this crying, spoiled brat and essentially says, being a hero isn't about the outfit. It isn't about the gadgets and the fame.
Being a hero isn't about accessories.
Exactly. It's about discipline. It's about service. Princess Morbucks is a walking warning label. She represents the absolute hollowness of materialism. She is a shell plated in gold, but there is nothing inside because her father never put anything there except money.
Okay, so we've done the sad rich kid and the bratty rich kid. We need to get gritty now. We need to talk about pure, unadulterated aggression. We are moving to the bad boys and the bad girls.
The Rowdy Rough Boys and the Kanker sisters. A fearsome duo.
Let's start with the Rowdy Roughs. These guys are the anti-Powerpuffs in every conceivable way, and their origin story is legitimately disgusting.
It is evocative, to say the least. It's memorable.
So the Powerpuff Girls were famously made of sugar, spice, and everything nice. Mojo Jojo is sitting in prison, having what seems to be a midlife crisis, and he decides he needs to fight fire with fire. But he's in a prison cell. He doesn't have sugar or spice.
He has to work with what he's got. So he uses armpit hair, he uses snails, and for the secret ingredient, the chemical X, he uses the water from the prison toilet.
Radioactive, shitty prison water, I believe was the technical term used in our notes.
It's gross, but it's symbolic. They are literally made of snips and snails and puppy dog tails, the old nursery rhyme ingredients for boys. They are a gritty, unrefined, toxic version of masculinity.
And when they first show up, they absolutely wreck the girls. They are stronger, they are faster, and they are so much meaner.
They dominate. The girls try to punch them, and the boys just laugh and hit back harder. It looks completely hopeless.
Until Miss Sarah Bellum, the mayor's chief of staff, steps in with the advice.
Such good advice.
Be nice.
The famous cooties defeat.
The girls realize that they can't win with violence. They're outmatched, so they kiss.
And because the Rowdy Rough Boys are, spiritually, 5-year-old boys who think girls are gross and have cooties, their hypermasculine systems cannot handle the affection. They literally explode.
It's a hilarious ending.
Yes.
But then they come back, and this is where the analysis gets really interesting regarding gender dynamics. Him, the demonic, androgynous, lobster-clawed villain, resurrects them.
And he gives them an upgrade. He gives them a cootie vaccination.
Which means?
What does that do?
It means he removes their vulnerability to affection. He hardens. So in the second encounter, the girls try the same trick. They try to kiss them again, but instead of exploding, the boys grow. They get physically larger. They get stronger. Him has weaponized their weakness.
So now they are these hulking affection-immune monsters, and they start using psychological warfare. They don't just hit the girls. They do gross stuff.
They do. They pick their noses, they spit, they lift up their shirts and make fart noises with their armpits. They weaponize disgust. They were trying to break the girls' spirits by being repulsive. It's a very playground form of harassment.
And it worked. The girls are losing. Their morale is shot. Until Buttercup, the toughest fighter, snaps. She's had enough. She flies at But she doesn't punch him in the face. She punches him in the tongue while he's sticking it out to taunt her.
He bites his own tongue, and suddenly he shrinks.
He looks stupid. He's crying, holding his tongue.
And the girls have this light bulb moment. They realize the new weakness. It isn't affection anymore. It's ego. It's emasculation.
Their power is entirely tied to their self-image of being tough, cool. The moment they look silly, the moment they get embarrassed, they lose their power.
So the girls go on the offensive, but it's a different kind of offense. They put a bow and makeup on Boomer. They pull down Brick's pants in front of everyone.
They humiliate. And as the boys get embarrassed, they shrink down smaller and smaller until they're the size of action. It is such a brilliant commentary on a certain kind of toxic masculinity.
It really is.
It's a facade. It looks big and scary and impenetrable, but it's incredibly fragile. If you can just poke a hole in the ego, if you can make the bully look ridiculous, the whole thing collapses.
And him eventually just banishes them, literally screaming at them for being cis, which proves that to the main villains, the boys were only useful as long as they were toxic.
Exact. Their only value was their aggression.
From the boys to the girls, let's talk about the Kanker sisters from Ed and Eddy.
Lee, Marie, and May. If the Rowdy Roughs are toxic masculinity, the Kankers are pure predatory chaos.
That's the perfect word for it, chaos. The source notes describe their arrival in the cul-de-sac not as a villain's entrance, but as a natural disaster.
It really is. Think about the sound design of that show. When the Kankers show up, the happy-go-lucky, the sky seems to get darker, and the other characters, even the established bullies like Sarah, they don't fight, they run. Pure flight response.
There's that one episode, I think it's called Run for Your Ed. The Kankers wake up in their messy trailer, which is a whole vibe in itself, just dirt and clutter, and they find their prized ship in a bottle is missing.
And they immediately assume the Eds took it, and they go on a rampage.
It's not just a rampage. It's like the Avengers or Godzilla attacking a city. They are flipping entire houses upside down. They're snapping full-grown trees like toothpicks. The sky turns red.
It establishes them as the undisputed apex predators of the cul-de-sac. Even Kevin, the cool jock who calls everyone dork, terrified of them.
And Sarah, who spends every single episode screaming at and physically dominating her older brother Ed, hides in a toy box.
And when the Kankers find her, she immediately snitches. The Eds went that way. She sells them out in a heartbeat to save herself.
It shows the hierarchy perfectly. Sarah bullies Ed, but the Kankers bully the world.
But here's the thing that baffles me, and the analysis we looked at spent some time on. Why does the internet love them? Why is there so much fan fiction and art shipping the Eds with their abuser?
Oh yeah, it's huge, especially Double D and Marie, the clean freak nerd and the messy punk girl.
It's the I can fix her mentality. Or maybe the reverse. Fans look at Marie with the blue hair and the tough attitude, and they project this whole romantic subplot on. They imagine Double D would soften her edges, and she would make him braver and more.
But in the show, it's just terror. He is genuinely terrified of her.
It is entirely non-consensual harassment in the canon of the show. There's no two ways about it. But fandoms love that bad girl, good boy trope. Although, to be fair to the shippers, the show does give us these tiny, fleeting glimpses of their humanity.
You mean the Valentine's Day?
Right. May Kanker creates this handmade, lopsided Valentine for Ed, and she looks genuinely hopeful, maybe for the first time in the series. And when Ed rejects her, because he's an idiot and doesn't understand, she actually cries. Real tears. It's a quick moment, but it reminds us, oh, right, these are just kids living in a trailer park. They are acting out, probably because their home life is chaotic and they've never been taught how to express affection properly.
It humanizes them for exactly 1 second. And then they go back to trying to forcibly marry the Eds.
As they do.
Okay, we have one last stop on this therapy. We are staying in the cul-de-sac, but we are looking at a very different kind of conflict. We are looking at the clash between Rolf and Eddy.
This is one of my favorite deep dives because it deals with cultural ignorance. Usually Eddy is the villain because he's greedy. He wants quarters for his scams. But in this specific instance, he is the villain because he is profoundly disrespectful.
For those who don't remember, Rolf is the son of a shepherd. He comes from the old country.
Which is never named. It's this hilarious, bizarre amalgam of Eastern European, Germanic, and obscure rural. Wonderful.
So in this episode, Rolf is honoring his ancestors. He's rolling around in the dirt. His clothes are all disheveled. He is mourning his great nano, who apparently died fighting a giant sea.
A noble death in the old country, I'm sure.
And as part of this sacred ritual, he offers sea cucumber balls to all the neighborhood kids.
Now, you have to imagine what these things look like. They are gray and slimy and steaming. They look absolutely...
The other kids, Kevin, Naz, Johnny, they are visibly terrified, but they eat them. Why?
Respect. Or maybe just a healthy fear of being cursed by Rolf. But they engage with the ritual. They understand on some level that this is important to Rolf, even if it's weird to them.
But Eddy? What does Eddy do?
Eddy takes one look at it, makes a disgusted face, says gross, and just chucks it at the fence. Splat.
And the silence that followed. You could hear a pin drop.
That is the inciting it. To Eddy, he just threw away some bad. To Rolf, that was a declaration of war. That was a flagrant, violent act back toward his family, his culture, and his hospitality.
So Rolf challenges him. The duel of the fish.
He digs a literal pit of shame in the backyard. He is dead serious about this. But he gives Eddy a chance to apologize. He says, essentially, bring the cupcakes of sorriness and all will be forgiven.
A simple, clear path to reconciliation. And what does Eddy bring?
He brings a potted plant.
The potted shrub of ridicule, as Rolf immediately called it.
Eddy doesn't even try to understand. He treats the apology like another scam. He mocks the culture again. He thinks if he just hands Rolf something, it'll all go away. He refuses to meet Rolf on Rolf.
And so the beatdown begins. And it is brutal. Even for this.
It involves fighting with two very large, very dead fish. Rolf is just pummeling him. And there's this amazing moment where Rolf stops and screams, "Why are you not fighting back to restore your honor?"
He wants an honorable duel.
Yeah.
He's trying to follow the rules of his culture.
Yeah. He wants Eddy to show some backbone, to take it seriously, but Eddy just cowers and cries.
And eventually she gets unceremoniously thrown into the pit of shame.
The lesson here is surprisingly nuanced for a slapstick cartoon. Eddy's villainy in this episode wasn't malice. It was ignorant and it was arrogant. He refused to step outside his own self-centered cultural bubble.
If he had just eaten the gross sea cucumber ball or baked the cupcakes, if he'd shown even a crumb of sincere respect, none of the violence would have happened.
Instead, he ends up in a hole, and Rolf ends the episode by gleefully dumping eels into everyone's pants.
Which apparently is a bonding ritual in his culture, the eels of forgiveness.
The cultural gap remains wide and full of...
Indeed. But the point stands. Mocking what you don't understand has very real, very fish-slappy context.
It certainly does.
So we've been talking for a while now. We've covered a lot of ground. We've looked at the dusty farmhouse, the empty mansion, the prison toilet, the trailer park, and the old country.
We've built quite the psychological profile of 90s and 2000s cartoon antagonists.
When you put it all together, Eustace, Chris, Princess, the Rowdy Roughs, the Kankers, Eddy.
Yeah.
What's the common thread that ties them all together?
I think the thread is that cartoon villainy is rarely ever, it's almost always a symptom of something.
A symptom of what?
of a lack. Miss Eustace lacks validation, so he becomes abusive. Power. Chris lacks genuine connection, so he becomes obsessive and clingy. Princess lacks boundaries and discipline, so she's pathological. The rowdy roughs lack an identity outside of their own toxic aggression.
And Eddy lacks perspective. He can't see beyond his own desires.
Exactly. These characters are annoying to us as kids because they just disrupt the fun, they get in the way of the hero. But as adults, we recognize them. We might see our own weird uncle, and we might see that lonely kid we went to high school with in Chris. Hell, we might even see parts of ourselves in their flaws.
It definitely changes how I'm going to watch Courage next Halloween. I don't think I can laugh at the Ooga Booga mask quite as hard anymore.
Nor should you. The villain is so often just a tragedy waiting to be understood. Or, maybe not the Kankers. They might just be terrifying.
They might just be chaos agents.
Yeah.
But I have one final provocative question for you, a thought experiment to wrap this all up.
Tip me.
Let's say we invented a cartoon therapy gun. We can zap these shows. Eustace gets therapy and finally processes his mom issue. Chris Thorndike gets parents who stay home and play catch with him. Princess Morbucks gets told no for the first time in her life and learns the value of $1.
Okay, so everyone is healthy. Everyone is well-adjusted.
Does the show cease to exist?
Wow, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Does comedy, especially this kind of comedy, require unhealed trauma to function? Is the anvil dropping on someone's head only funny because we ignore the pain and the dysfunction behind it?
If Eustace wasn't miserable and abusive, Courage the cowardly dog, Courage the dog living peacefully with a nice old couple.
It would be a very boring 11 minutes of television.
It suggests that conflict and often dysfunction is the engine of entertainment. We need the brokenness to make the story move forward.
Which is a little messed up when you think about it, is we are literally entertained by their suffering.
We are. But maybe by analyzing it like this, by having this conversation, we redeem it a little bit. We give these characters the understanding they never got in their own scripts.
I like that. We're doing the work that Mad Bag and Daddy Morbucks never did.
We're trying.
Well, on that note, I think I need to go call my mom. Or maybe just go watch some old cartoons with a new perspective.
Just maybe avoid the sea cucumber balls, if you can.
It's a deal. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. We really encourage you to go back and rewatch your old favorite. Peel back the layers. You might be surprised at what you find lurking just underneath the animation.
Until next time.
Stay curious.